Wolves of Wind, Book 2, Gills, Chapter 6, River Alpha. Rain whispered softly to her mother. She knew that Forest's wings would not recover from an injury of such magnitude. What did the long beasts want with wings? Did they perhaps think if they gathered enough they could fly? Rain knew that would never be possible, especially with such a ragged cut like what they had done to Forest. Rain had spent the whole night crying for her poor mother. Her once bright green wings were now ragged stumps. But she still wasn't just a used dame. Rain had spent the whole night trying to figure out what Boulder had meant by a used dame. At first it had seemed like he was saying that she-wolves were only useful for pups. Of course that wouldn't make sense, though. He had loved his sisters. Although he had loved them way less after they had left with their mother. But he still had loved them and still cared about them. Or at least she had thought. Rain, I'll watch over Forest. You should go hunt. It makes no sense for all of us to starve. Rain winced at her mate's semi-cruel words, even though Forest did not seem to notice that he was implying that she would starve soon. She didn't know if she was happy with him, but she didn't want to break his heart. She knew that it was just hard for a blind wolf, and that he had been lonely his whole life. That's a good idea. I'll try to find enough food for all of us today. Although that's what I always do. Rain joked, trying to keep the mood in the small cave brighter. Be safe, Rain. I love you, he called after her as she bounded away. Rain decided to take the path towards Riverpack instead of back at the old camp. Maybe they had better prey for her to catch. Rain took a deep breath and leapt over the small river, her wings lifting her forward so that her paws wouldn't make a splash. The air smelled very unfresh, and as Rain looked closer at the water, she saw that it was running with a milky black liquid. Rain sniffed it and immediately threw her head back in disgust. Perhaps this was why Riverpack had to steal rabbits. Their food source was sick. Suddenly, Rain's whole pelt froze as she heard howling from somewhere in the distance. Had Riverpack smelled her? How many wolves was it? It sounded like a whole pack. Rain, against her better judgment, decided to go investigate what had the Riverpack wolves so worked up. What could cause so much noise? Rain knew that she had to be careful this close to Riverpack's home. She stuck her face through a bush to see farther into the camp. The wolves were all crowded around a large slope of mud that looked a lot like the moon rock at the old Skypack camp. Rain swiveled her head around a few times before getting a good view of who was on the rock. But instead of a thick-furred elder wolf that led Riverpack, there was a young white wolf with gray eyes standing on the rock. Rain stifled a gasp, and she did a double take at the wolf on the rock. It was Bird. Rain wanted to keep watching, but she knew that if she was seen spying on such a private event, then things would not end well for her. Most likely she'd be taken prisoner so that she couldn't tell Skypack the Atlas, Riverpack's old alpha, had died. Rain slunk away towards the border, happy that no one had seen her snooping on them. But why was Bird, the young, mischievous, and irresponsible wolf, the chosen alpha?